That's Karl.
That's Emma. And this is Rittal unBoxed.
So Karl, who have we got on the show today?
Well, we've got a very special guest, something a little slightly different, a sister company of sorts. We've got Christie, who's the country manager for UK and Ireland for Eplan UK. Okay. So people might know about Eplan, they might not have heard of them whatsoever, but I think after this really interesting interview and your enthusiasm for this product range, I think they'll really enjoy it.
Yes, I think the only thing we're missing today is the Eplan sign.
Yeah, we need to get one of those up there, don't we?
Yeah, we should have had that up there as well. But I think Eplan is such a, I want to say underrated. It's not underrated, that's the wrong word. It's a product that people aren't as aware of as they should be. For me, you should be screaming it from the rooftops.
It's an unsung hero, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just in the life and times that we live in.
Yeah.
I say of
people trying
staff,
to eke out productivity out of the people they have because of short
be as efficient as possible, be as up to date as possible. Just moving forward, I struggle to see anything better than Eplan in this sector.
And why you wouldn't want it for most people,
It's an amazing bit of kit. But like I said, I think what I'd like to see people is anybody that's interested in being more efficient, watch the show and get in touch. Explore it, really look into the opportunity of Eplan because it will change your business, it will transform it. So it'd be really interesting to sit down and have a conversation with Ken.
So I think the best thing is, let's hand it over to Ken and he can tell us all about it.
Over to you, Ken.
Over to you. So Ken, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And as we always start with, I think the best thing is give us a little potted history of what's brought you to this table today.
Okay. So I originally started in CAD, probably in the mid-90s. And so that was really just sort of mainly doing 2D CAD. And then 3D mechanical came out and I got involved in the 3D mechanical CAD. And to the point where I ended up had my own VAR in the sort of late 90s. So I actually had my own company. And then I started working with an Autodesk reseller as a sales director. And around 2010, I was talking to Hauke in Germany and joined the team here.
Right.
Sort of to try and elevate and sort of evangelize into the market about why people should start thinking about electrical rather than just the mechanical side of the business.
Yeah, because I guess from my background, I come from being a CAD user as well. I started in 2D and then moved into SolidWorks, but it was all sort of mechanical side. And I guess, like you say, there was electrical stuff out there, but it wasn't really prevalent. It was very mechanical focused. So
it is, and the reasons why people bought mechanical is exactly the same reasons as why they need, or are looking to move from 2D CAD now for electrical into more of a developed solution. It's the same sort of reasons. It's the ability to reuse data and have that flow throughout the whole of their processes.
So for the listeners and the viewers that don't, I think a lot of people aren't aware about Eplan, as in they may have heard the name, they may have seen the logo, they may have seen the branding. I think a lot of people are still unaware that it's actually, we're Rittal and Eplan are under the Friedhelm banner. We are sister organisations. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of that. And I think that's something that's quite important.
Yeah, definitely.
People think it's a standalone organisation, but in actual fact, the actual physical products that we sell as Rittal, and then Eplan obviously under the software, the design to work together.
Yes.
And I think that is something that's really unique.
Strength, isn't it?
Yeah, like you say, it's not it can be a standalone electrical software package, and products that you don't have to use under but the fact that they're actually designed and it's under the same banner, I think is really important, because I just don't think a lot of people are aware we're part of the same organisation. It's still...
The synergies between the two organisations are actually getting closer and closer over time.
Yeah.
So the development of the Rittal software and some of the softwares that can be used, repanel and various other things that actually can then link. And so therefore you can do some configuration work with Rittal software and then reuse that data. And this is what I'm saying about the reuse of data, is that you can then reuse that actually to go in and do maybe more detailed design.
So if somebody's completely new, somebody that's watching now or listening, and we hear Eplan, take us through a step of what is Eplan, who are Eplan, what does Eplan offer, what is Eplan as an organisation?
Okay, So Eplan's potted history. Eplan started in 1984. It was basically a BMW engineer had an idea that he wanted to standardize. One of the key problems they had was that different people would come in to do design on the production line, and all of them would then create a design, and it would all be different.
Right.
Yep.
And so one of the key things for us is to try and create a standard, so that therefore you can't tell the difference between who designed it. Yeah, because they all look the same. And the main reason for that is once you get a standard and it all looks the same, it means that actually you have a great methodology and less error is then going through the whole process.
Yeah.
And that's really what this guy wanted, because they were getting designs from different people and who'd have to interpret it.
So it's eradicating that human error aspect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is bring it down to, or distill it into the essence of what is needed. And Eplan allows you to do that. Okay. It means it's much, much quicker to actually produce a design once you actually start the process.
And if somebody's looking to initially start with Eplan, what are the first steps to looking at Eplan? You know, I'm looking at this completely as I'm a mechanical person through and through. My background's mechanical. Electrical is, despite being in this industry, is actually something that's really alien to me to a certain extent. So talk me through the process. If a customer's thinking, okay, Eplan, standardization.
Yeah. What's the first step? What's the gateway
steps
into digitizing your electrical designs?
Or standardizing it from other ways of doing it?
I think the simplest thing is actually just to start having a conversation, because it's more about each company, although they maybe want to standardize, you'll find that a lot of them have created standards for mechanical in the way that they work, but the electrical team just seem to do their own thing. It's like a black art, you know, it's like this black art in the corner, and it just does stuff.
It just works.
My old boss used to call it electricery.
Electricery, that's right, it's the electricery. Okay.
That's it, we design it, but they make it move, you know, that kind of thing. But it's just having that conversation, because it may be that that's not the most important thing, but actually that's where you can move to. So it can be over a period of time that you actually start the process of discussion about what is important to the company. You know, how do we help if you are using a 2D CAD system? How can we help you the easiest way to actually transition into actually becoming maybe more efficient? And then we look at it and we can say which areas are easiest to step into, and then we help with that all the way through that process.
So you can do baby steps effectively. It's, if, you know, to start with, like, say, if it's something completely new, it can almost be a bit overwhelming, I suppose, to an organisation to change everything that they're doing, or they might not necessarily to change everything they do, but to be able to pick and choose or do baby steps.
That's the thing. I think people have in their mind that when they take the step, oh, by the way, we've got to go, the whole thing all at once. And actually, to be honest, we would prefer if somebody came to us and actually said, do you know what I want to do? This is what I want to do. I want to go from art to part and everything in between. We would break it down into chunks and say, well, okay, let's start here. And we would then develop over time to do it, because nobody can take it on in one go. Otherwise, you stop your business.
Well, you stop your business. And when you're doing something that enormous as well, is more often than not either never gets done or never gets done correctly. Concentrating and focusing on certain areas initially, do that area. That's working right, okay, let's move on to the next section then as well in terms of... So
it's looking like, what's your biggest bang for buck? You know, how much am I kind of spending, what am I going to get for it? And that's really important. It's all about what value we bring, rather than trying to actually sell them the best thing, with a lot of widgets and stuff.
That they don't need,
It's what value do we bring to that organisation, and how can we help them realise that value as quickly as possible?
Again, for people that haven't seen Eplan, for me, as I said, not being electrical, there's some real fantastic features I know to Eplan, but for me, one of the biggest things is obviously Eplan Pro Panel.
Yes.
So you're incorporating actual physical product, well, not physical, but a digital twin. You're actually incorporating what looks like to be the hardware along with the electrical side. I think that is ingenious. So you're actually physically seeing the products together, assembled,
in
all working,
cyberspace,
all singing, all dancing in cyberspace first. So it's not just about your electrical schematics. You're actually looking at the whole design, aren't you, in Eplan? I mean, because again, just to educate me a little bit, Eplan initially was electrical schematics.
Just schematics, yeah.
And then in recent years, we've become to the 3D side of things as well, in terms of the enclosures and that and other components as well.
Definitely. Because one of the key things is that when you actually look at the 2D side is fantastic, to do the schematics, and in a lot of instances, that might be exactly where you need to be. But one of the key things about moving to 3D is the fact that then the data that you're generating can be reused in many more different instances. So it can be reused and linked to different areas of your business.
Give me an example.
So we can link it into an ERP system. Okay. So we can link into there to give data to the purchasing department. Mm-hmm. So we can get the bill of materials out. The bill of materials can then be sent to the purchasing department. You can get the weight of the enclosure. So you can actually see how heavy it is. You can find its center of gravity. You can do lots of different things.
Everything's intelligent, usable data.
Exactly. That you couldn't do with just a schematic. You can also actually make sure you've got the right size. Mm-hmm. I mean, simple thing.
Yes.
Will it all fit?
Yeah.
How cool do we need it? Yeah. Because if you've got hot components, what cooling do we need? And we can actually do that. So we can use Retherm, so we can link to Retherm, the Rittal software.
Yeah.
And then we can analyze the heat that's going to be dissipated and what the ambient temperature is. And then obviously we can then have the cooling, which we can then put on a cursor and drag and drop onto the component.
So it's sort of building in best practice, like I said before, you put in cutting any steel, actually making any possible mistakes. You're just confirming all those things, ticking all those boxes in cyberspace before you move to actual production stage.
Yes, everything can be analysed beforehand.
Yeah, and I know from talks you've done before, I like the idea of if you change something in a repeated part, it chases that change all the way through where it's used, so you can't accidentally be using an old version of it. Like I guess in the olden days, it's like when I was in mechanical, you'd have physical paper drawings with highlighters and biro and cigarette burns on and stuff like that.
In the older days.
Yeah. No, it's true though, isn't it? Yeah. And then you'd be like, oh no, that's changed now, you'd scribble it out. But, that just can't happen these days, can it? It's just not a way to run a business.
So if somebody comes along, they're starting their Eplan journey, what support service do we offer? Training? Obviously there needs to be a whole package back there as well. Yeah. So what do we plan off on that side of things?
So again, we offer, obviously we offer training and support. So again, from the point, exactly. From the point of the licenses and implementation, but also then it's the additional support service that people will want when they first start. Because one of the things that happens with everything that you do with a piece of software, you have to get started. And that obviously there's that bit of ramp up. And so the ability for us to help organizations with that ramp up is what can become the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because it reduces the amount of time they're having to do it themselves. So we have, absolutely. We have all the training courses. We have support. So there's telephone support and email support and other things as well. But actually, it's how do we get you to be the best you can be as quickly as possible.
I think that's the thing as well. People, if they start down that journey, they need to embrace it because, I've been elsewhere before, in other companies where people have took technology and software on and they've never quite embraced it fully. They found workarounds. It's like then you're not actually saving time. You found a workaround, which was no different to what you were doing before. So, if you're going to do it, embrace it because the time savings that Eplan will offer you, and the efficiencies are absolutely, that's not me being biased. That's nothing more than it's such a fantastic piece of kit. It really is. It's
very true that we sometimes people will buy technology for technology. This is why we're talking about value. If they buy technology for technology, and it's fine, except if you don't use the technology. So if you buy technology and then you use it exactly the same way as you used the piece of technology you had before, there was no point in buying the technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to engage in it. And you need to actually go through. And sometimes that means that you have to spend a little bit of money to get that. Yeah. But once you get it, then that's when the benefit comes through. And that's what we want to talk to people about, is what that value is going to be. Because we really want to understand it, but we also want to help you understand what the value is. Because there's no point in us just selling your software.
Yep.
If you're not going to use it, don't buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a waste. And it's like a physical piece of machinery, isn't it? You need to truly ingratiate it into your process and change your routines and things so that that's the thing you use, isn't it? Otherwise, it's pointless. Absolutely. How are you finding people's uptake? Is it is the country, the UK, sort of like, are they go-getters? Are they wanting to sort of bring this stuff on board, or are we a bit lagging behind compared to other countries and things? Or
it's we probably started late. I would say in other countries they've started earlier in this process and moving forward. We are moving, and we're moving quite quickly. But again, it's slightly different ideas about how the technology should be used, and so therefore it's that just talking about it is really important. So yeah, absolutely. Are people engaged in it? Yes, they are. Are people embracing it to 100%? Maybe not. But I think as technology moves on, people are really getting to a point where they're beginning to see it. And I think people had perceptions of what we were about. And hopefully that's changing, because we really are focused on the customer. It's what's really important to us is actually what the customer gets.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, I don't want people to buy software for just buying software. If they're going to buy it, they need to be engaged in that understanding of the software so that we can then help them.
Yeah.
Because that's what's key.
Yeah. We have this conversation before in other shows where we've talked about how we go to market as an organisation, and it's always with the customer in mind, in terms of we're not in this for a quick sale. That's not what we want. That's not who we are. It's about, can we add value to a customer?
Yeah,
that's what we want to do, because that's what creates long-term partnerships.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of what we have in this organisation. We have, majority of our customers are long-term partnerships that we've known for years and years. Yep. Who have embraced this journey with us. They've grown with us. For me, when I look at Eplan and Rittal, I think we're such, we call ourselves the market leader, which we are. We have early adopters. There's some customers that were on this journey with us right at the very beginning that were amazing.
Yeah.
But I have seen that snowball effect in the last couple of years, where you can see things now. People are really embracing digitalization. That's it. Digitalization. People are starting to embrace it, because I think they've realised if they don't, they're going to get left behind.
Not going to keep up, yeah.
A lot of our customers have competition. Their competition are doing it, therefore they need to do it. So we're seeing that now as well, that people are sort of saying, hang on, the times are changing. Because they're seeing changes in their own personal lives and things that they do in terms of the technology that they use and the software that they use. Why would you not then do it in your business?
Yeah.
It's no different. So you can't keep doing what you've always done. We've got a lack of workforce. Your competition are getting better, therefore you need to become more efficient. It's a case, right, how do I do that?
That is key, is particularly the efficiency part, because it is really difficult for an organisation to continue to grow, because you get to a certain point and it's like, okay, I need to employ more people to actually continue the growth. Yeah. Or if you get an influx of orders, how do I manage to be able to do that? And what you really want to be able to do is have that leap so you can actually grow. And the ability to actually grow organically with the people you already have by enhancing the skill sets that they have and using software that helps them to move further forward. That is the way you have to think about it. It's really difficult to try and think, I'll just bring in another engineer. Okay, if you can find them, first off. Yep. Yeah. And secondly, once you get them in, you've then still got a training process to actually train them up into the way that you work and the way that you work. And so it's not an instant, by the way, I get this person and suddenly we've got the extra production.
Yeah.
That's where, by putting software in and working with software and having it ingrained within the organisation and how it's structured, it allows then for that flexibility.
Like I said, rather than increasing capacity by employing more people, increase capacity by reducing the amount of time it takes to do things.
Yeah, I mean, simple bill of materials. A bill of materials on a large project could take a week. And in Eplan, press a button.
Yep.
And it does it in second, and that's the speed of it. And not only does it do that, but it'll then do all of the other reports, your connection reports and everything else via terminals, and everything else will actually be done and generated at the click of the one button. So you don't have to
I feel like a bit of an evangelist, I need to go out and tell everybody, spread the word, but it is that good. I said, it's not just being biased. It's not rocket science, like you said. It's not magic. It's just really clever software, intelligent software, and I think that's half the problem. People are still using software that has no intelligent data whatsoever. And all this is doing is collating all that and giving you access to it all. It's a great piece of kit. And again, you know, if people are already using the configurators that Rittal have got and everything, they don't lose that. They can still continue to do that. They all complement each other, don't they?
And then they can bring the data into Eplan and then do the detailed design.
And like you said at the start, they might not realise they're actually constructed on Eplan architecture. It's like my Therm software is in Eplan. It's you know, it's in there. It's free, obviously, but it's built on that architecture, so they're already working in that sort of ecosystem.
With the e-pocket as well. You know, like you said, it's all
interlinked.
As the synergy, the synergy, a bit of a David Brent moment, but it's like I said, it's all designed to work together. But that's what makes it so good. Something that we've not touched on as well is obviously one bit I really love is if you're designing something in Pro Panel, so you bring in the enclosure. You bring in the mounting plate, you start literally dragging and dropping all the components onto the mounting plate. Whilst you're actually doing that, it's automatically putting a drill pattern together for you, isn't it? You don't manually have to do that afterwards. So you're literally dragging and dropping every component you want on it, saying, those all fit together, absolutely no problem, putting all your DIN rail on for you. It's all intelligently doing this. And then at the end of that data literally feeds straight to one of our Perflex machines. So you can drill the mounting plates, drill your enclosure. That's
and also
fantastic.
Also, it checks. So if you're putting something on the door, it'll actually tell you if it's clashing with something that's behind it, actually inside the cabinet. So if you put something on the door or try to put something on the door and there's something behind that would block it, it'll actually not let you do it because it'll say, no, that you can't put it in. It blocks.
And you wouldn't notice that in real life, maybe, until somebody went to shut the door and went, oh dear, we've got a problem.
It's so clever. It really is. Like I say, it's just it blows my mind a little bit why customers would not want to do this. I know there's reasons. I'm not, you know, I get that there's reasons, but you just think if it can save you so much time and the error, you know, all the areas it can help with, it just seems daft not to at least explore it because it's so clever.
And a lot of these outputs that we're talking about when we're talking about going to the RAS machines, so the automation machines, or we're talking about other areas, it's the click of a button. Basically, it is us saying send to machine, and then it takes the CNC, gets sent to the machine, and then you just put your cabinet in, and off it goes and drills it.
Say at the moment you've got somebody doing a flat CAD drawing, giving it to somebody on the shop floor, who then has to mark out a mounting plate, physically lay everything out on it, make sure it all fits, draw it all up, then take it away, then machine it by hand. Whereas if you're doing the drawing up front in Eplan, all the other processes have already been done. You just do the initial design, that's it. Just do the design, everything else is taken care of. That's smart, isn't it? Very clever.
Absolutely. And did you see she managed to take an electrical product and go back to mechanical and talk about mechanical with it?
Yeah.
Can't take the mechanical
like I said,
out of there.
Can't wire a plug, so don't ask me to.
No.
But yes.
I think I have the same thing because I'm mechanical background as well. So again, when I start talking about things, and a lot, what's quite interesting is a lot of the people who are out there looking at what they've got to do, they are mechanical anyway.
Yeah.
And so having that discussion sometimes is quite difficult because, again, they're not electrically biased. And so therefore, as we said, it's like black magic. Something that happens in the corner. And actually what we need to do is just talk about it as, you know, similar sort of reasons. Why did you move to 3D in your mechanical? It's the same reasons why you would want to do it in electrical.
They go hand in hand.
Of course they do.
The enclosure and the components, you can't do them without the wiring, you can't do the wiring without they go hand in hand. So why would you not put them together in one software?
Not only that, you can actually share the data. So you can actually give the data that you're creating inside of Pro Panel, you can actually give that to the mechanical team to incorporate into their design. So if they're making a machine, you can actually take the panel into the machine. Or
make sure it fits, etc. With a larger assembly. No, you're totally right. So Ken, obviously, it's very smart. There's a lot of facets to it. So what's the best way if somebody wants to see Eplan in action? What would you recommend the best way for them to get a flavour and start the journey?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, people the automatic reaction would be to go and look on YouTube or something like that. And that's fine, except that quite often you'll probably find that it's an older version of the software you're looking at. It's not the latest version of the software.
Yeah, because you don't control what's put out there.
Yeah.
No, and it can be very generic.
Yep.
And so therefore it becomes quite difficult then for you to then link your business issue with what's been shown on the screen. So we do have a demo Wednesday that we run them every other Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so therefore you can see the technologies and how they work. And that sometimes is a good way for you to see technology so you can have a discussion. But probably the easiest way is actually just to speak to one of the guys, because if you speak to us, what we can do is when we can understand what it is that you're trying to do with the business or the area of the business that maybe you're a little bit concerned about, and then we can help with that, because then we can be very precise, because we can show you, look, you said this was an issue. Okay, here's this issue and this is how we would resolve it. And then we can show you the rest of it, because obviously we can go beyond just that one issue. But it means that you then get your problem solved rather than thinking, does it fit, does it not? I don't
just
really
getting
know.
a generic flavour. You're really honing in on the bit that's your pain point for your customer.
That's what's important to the customer, isn't it? It's where they're either feeling the pinch or they want to make improvements.
Yeah.
And I said there's so many different aspects to ePlan, all the fantastic things it can do, but right now at this point, this could be the customer's pain point. So let's focus on that first, so they can really see the value it can bring, and then we can move to this, and then we can move to that. Once they see that working, that's when you can say, actually, this area here now is really where we want to work.
And that's also key, is the fact that you're not stuck.
Yeah.
So you can always move. So therefore, there's a progression. So therefore, the ability for you to add new technologies or add different areas. So I mean, like pneumatics is an area that we've got in there that people can then actually build on, or harness if they need to do harness design, or if they're doing wiring inside a machine. Those things can come over time. They don't have to be done at day one. And so that's one of the keys. It's what is the best thing for you now? Let's look at how we do that and achieve that goal. And then where do you want to be? And then we can develop that over a period of time.
The jar of doom. I don't know. Jack's put these questions in. So come on, answer a question. It could be anything from what you're having for tea to...
Favourite animal, who knows?
Oh, there you go.
I have no idea.
I got a long one. What's the best book you've ever read and why?
I was going to say Catalogue 36, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you did on World Book Day.
Yeah. The problem is you forget every book you've ever read when somebody asks you.
Exactly.
A question
To be
like
honest,
that,
it's pretty much. I'm sitting there going, I can't think of a single
Well, to be fair, I could tell
TV
you my
guide.
book.
Actually, I tell you the book that actually was probably the one that stuck with me the most was The Omen.
Right, is
A
it?
particular reason? Just because it scared you to death?
It's
or?
completely scary.
But how old were you when you read it?
That was probably, I don't know,
Last week,
14, 15, something like that.
Right, yeah.
And I could hear voices. In my head. So, that stuck with me. That
Sign of a good book, though. That
It is.
I've never read a horror book.
Have you not?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I
Read
don't,
a couple.
I think because I think your imagination can be way worse than like say you watch a film. A book's always more detailed than when it's compared to a film.
Absolutely.
A book's always, but I think your own imagination is your worst enemy at times, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, when you start hearing voices in your head, that gets a bit scary.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. And we'll put details up for the viewers and listeners in terms of Demo Wednesday and any other details. If you do want to get in touch via the email address,
across the screen now.
unboxed@rittal.co.uk. Send an email in and we can get that up to ePlan.
Excellent.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much.